Well, good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to today's very special celebration to confer the prestigious Kenton Miller Award for Innovation in National Parks and Protected Areas Sustainability to two very worthy awardees. I'd like also to acknowledge that we have with us members of the Miller family. You'll be introduced to them as we go on. The chair of the World Commission on Protected Areas, and of course, many others who have made today possible. My name is Trevor Sandworth, and I'm the director of IUCN's Global Protected and Conserved Area Program, based here in IUCN headquarters in Switzerland. And I'll be coordinating the program today, along with several colleagues who are manning all the technology behind this event. Quite clearly, today, our event is conducted under very different circumstances than past award ceremonies. The event forms part of an online series of events which we've called Vital Sites, the Journey to Marseille, which has been designed to maintain momentum and the relevance of protected areas during these extraordinary times that we are all facing. Most of us are challenged by the global pandemic, and in particular, the managers of protected areas are faced with very extraordinary situations. Not only is their day-to-day work impacted by the need to avoid disease transmission, but their agencies, funding sources, and the communities that rely on protected areas for their livelihoods are profoundly affected. Today, we have the opportunity to celebrate two outstanding protected area leaders whose creativity and ingenuity stand out even in the face of this pandemic. So I need to start off with a few announcements just for those of you who are participating. Just to mention that the event today will be recorded and edited, and so made available on our website and to all of you, and also to others that are not able to join at this time and share in the event. Before we start, you'll notice at the bottom of your screen there's a chat box, and we welcome you to share comments on anything that you're hearing about in the chat box. Of course, we can also harvest those comments and share them with everybody. And the winners who are part of the panel and maybe don't have time during the event to actually see the comments will be able to pick up on them afterwards. If you'd like to pose a question or make an intervention later on, please put your question or your proposed intervention into the Q&A box that's right next to the chat box on the bottom of your screen. We'll be monitoring that Q&A box, and a little later in the proceedings, we hope to provide an opportunity to at least some of you to be called on to make your comment or question live to the winners. Regarding the actual program for today, we're going to start off with a welcome and an introduction to the Kenton Miller Award. We'll then go to a segment where we introduce each of the winning innovations and confer on the winners their awards by reading the award citation and also giving them an opportunity to respond live as to how their work and how they respond to the award. We're also going to offer the opportunity for one of their colleagues to jump in and say what they think about our winners today. A little later, we'll offer the media an opportunity to interview the winners. We'll try and stage that a bit like an online TV interview panel with the interviewer and the winner on screen simultaneously. And then perhaps we'll be going back to our colleagues in the WCPA, the World Commission on Protected Areas, and the Miller family, maybe to have their chance to jump in and say what they'd like to say, what they've heard. And finally, we'll open the floor to interventions and questions. I understand that each of the teams also has a kind of surprise up their sleeves, so hang on for that, because we're talking about two places, as you'll find out, on Earth that have incredibly rich heritage and traditions, both countries involved have suffered tremendously from civil war and worse, and of course are also facing the challenges that we all face today. So that's enough from me. Thanks for listening. And my first job is to invite Dr. Kathy McKinnon, Chair of the IUCN World Commission on Protected Areas, to say a few words of welcome. Kathy. Kathy's not there. Oh dear. I think what I'll do is I'll switch then to the Miller family and then ask Natasha and Todd Miller, who are with us today, to tell us something about the background to the award.
Actually, I think we were going to do Todd first, so sorry.
Okay, Todd.
Hello there, everybody. I want to thank everyone for tuning in today, and it's a real pleasure to be here with you for this wonderful occasion. I would like to share a few words about how much this award means to the Miller family. Over his long career, my father Kenton brought family members along on many of his travels. We got to meet many of his colleagues working in and around protected areas in countries across the globe, and we understand the immense and incalculable value of this work. My father Kenton would be so proud of this year's Miller awardees and the innovative work they're doing to address incredible challenges and sustain protected areas in their home countries. As far as we know, Kenton never visited the home countries of this year's award winners, but now he will be there through these awardees and in recognition of their significant contributions for parks and for people everywhere. Personally, I love being able to present this award because I also work in conservation and protected areas in the United States, in the forested mountains of West Virginia, where my parents built a house on an old farm in the woods. The winners of this year's award demonstrate so many valuable lessons to people like me and my partners about protected management, governance, community participation, protecting biodiversity and local livelihoods, restoring landscapes and also cultural heritage, and building peace as well as climate resilience. These topics are ones which my father cared deeply about and which I try my best to advance locally and on a daily basis. Conservationists everywhere benefit from learning about the amazing work of Miller Award recipients each year, and will benefit from learning about this year's awardees as well. Lastly, Natasha and I are parents of the next generation of Millers who, like children everywhere, love to visit protected areas and depend for their own well-being on our ability to develop bold and innovative solutions to sustain protected areas in the face of local challenges and global change. We sincerely thank the protected areas community for the work you do, the WCPA and generous donors for making these awards possible. And we are thrilled to recognize this year's Miller awardees for their contributions to the world and to our future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Todd. So I think, Natasha, you'll jump in.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are. Thank you. And I very much echo what my brother so eloquently just said. And I'm honored to be here today. Helping to carry on the legacy of my father is a dream come true and a privilege for our family. All the winners of the Miller Award, past, present, have carried the torch of Kenton's dream. He knew that finding new and innovative ways to think outside the box, to put long-term needs above instant gratification, was crucial to be able to keep protected areas sustainable and in turn sustain humanity. In times of crisis, when people are struggling for mere survival, it is astounding and fills me with hope to know that there are those who can find innovative ways to thrive while caring for the planet. For all future generations, we must work together to share knowledge and find ways to keep the planet healthy so she can keep us healthy. So thank you.
Thanks very much, Natasha. And We understand that your mum is also on the call today, so I hope that she's able to appreciate what you're doing to carry on the legacy and that Kenton's vision is carried forward. So now I'd like to call on Dr. Kathy McKinnon, as I mentioned a little earlier, Chair of the World Commission on Protected Areas, to say a few words of welcome from the point of view of WCPA, who runs the Miller Award program.
Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry, we're having terrific gales in the UK, which is interfering with my broadband, so I'm a little late joining. I really want to welcome Todd, Natasha, and Sue to this award ceremony. This year, WCPA celebrates its 60th anniversary, and over the last 60 years, things have changed a lot. We've seen a huge expansion of protected areas under all kinds of different governance: government, indigenous reserves, community managed areas, and of course, private protected areas. There's a very good chance that we'll meet the target set by the Convention on Biological Diversity for 2020 of 17% terrestrial and 10% marine protected areas. That'll give us a good foundation for more ambitious and necessary targets over the next decade. Effective protected and conserved areas are critical to addressing the biodiversity crisis. But protected areas can and do deliver far more than simply conservation habitats. They are fundamental to achieving a more sustainable future. And there's increasing understanding of this, how they're relevant to ensure food and water security, helping us to deal with climate change and disaster risk, and what they can also contribute to human health, which is particularly relevant now in the pandemic crisis. Promoting those linkages and maximizing the benefits have meant that protected area managers have had to take on many new roles, developing innovative solutions and working with communities and other partners to address local and national challenges. The Kenton Miller Award, as Todd and Nash have explained, recognizes those protected area managers who, through their creativity and, we must say, lots of dedication, have developed innovative and inspiring solutions to address the key issues facing protected areas, and have found ways to demonstrate their relevance to society. Kenton was himself an inspiring and dedicated conservationist. He was 3 times chair of WCPA, and of course he was a well-known Director General of IUCN. He would have enjoyed meeting today's awardees and hearing their success stories. We're here today to celebrate 2 really outstanding individuals, both working in areas impacted by civil conflict, both working to reconcile the needs of conservation and communities for the benefit of both. It gives me great pleasure to introduce Nisa Hani from the Al Shuf Biosphere Reserve in Lebanon and Pedro Mogura from Gorongosa National Park in Mozambique. As Trevor said, we've expected to celebrate these awards at the WCC in June. Unfortunately, our opportunity to get together has now been delayed to at least January. But we thought it would be appropriate to highlight the Shuf and Gorongosa as beacons of hope in these difficult times, and to celebrate the 2 exceptional individuals responsible for their success. WCPA is extremely proud to honor Nisa and Pedro with our highest award, the Kenton Miller Prize. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Kathy. Thanks so much. And also thank you to the Miller family for that introduction. So now we're going to move into the next segment where we actually introduce the winners. So I'll be calling on Kathy again to make the award to Nizar Yousefhani.
I'd like to invite Nizar to show us a brief video to illustrate some of the work that has been done, and then we'll move on to the award.
الحفاظ على هيدا الأرز والحفاظ على هيدي الطبيعة هي مصدر العيش.
All right, Kathy.
Thank you. Well, as you can see from the video, the SHUP is an inspiring place, and the WCPA Steering Committee had the pleasure of visiting there previously. We recommend it to everybody. I'd now like to move on to the actual award presentation to Nizar, and I believe the inscription is going to be put up on your screen. So Nizar Yousefhani, the Protected Area Manager, is the recipient, or one of the recipients of this year's 2020 award. This is given in recognition of Nizar's innovation in protected areas management in respect of the transformation of the SHUP Biosphere Reserve as a globally significant model for integrated ecological, social, and economic development. Nizar has been involved in the management and development of the SHUP Biosphere Reserve for 20 years and rising to become its manager in charge. He's been overseeing the realization of a vision of the reserve as a model for not just restoration of nature, but community development, making the place resilient to climate change and important for sustainable economic development and peaceful reconciliation. Growing up in the aftermath of the civil war in Lebanon, in a village at the foot of the Baruch and Neha mountains, Nizar has spearheaded a comprehensive conservation and development program, which is truly inspiring. It draws together a complex of objectives in unique combination to conserve and restore the iconic cedar forests and wildlife of Mount Lebanon. The area has been able to mitigate and adapt to climate change. It works with 22 municipalities and has integrated them into its governance and has developed entrepreneurial opportunities for local people and indeed refugees from Syria. Those opportunities include nature-based tourism, product development, and revenue generation based on nature conservation. And this has markedly expanded employment opportunities and capacity. To maintain and restore cultural heritage and to support the integration of refugees in a time of regional instability. This is truly an exciting model and a real contribution to emphasizing how protected areas can help development. Nizar's seminal work on implementing a complex and comprehensive forest landscape restoration vision to build resilience across the entire landscape with the Biosphere Reserve at its core. This is a rare achievement with local, national, regional, and global impact, and offering a suite of lessons and examples that can inspire others and hopefully be replicated elsewhere. Nizar, as those who have met him will know, is charismatic, resourceful, and highly committed. He's harnessed local interests with regional and international conservation to demonstrate an inspiring model for nature conservation in transformative times. He's a real inspiration to other protected area managers, and WCPA is honored to be able to give him this award. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thanks, Kathy, and let's join in congratulating Nizar on his amazing achievement. So, why should we not just hear from the man himself, Nizar Hani?
Hi, everyone. Did you hear? Part of the team is next to me here, as well our president, Mr. Charles James. My thanks go first to IUCN, WCPA, and the Kenton Miller family, which is represented today by Natasha and Todd, for this meaningful recognition for its wonderful event and for all the work you do to promote and improve protected areas. I'm tremendously honored, humbled, and gratified by this award, which acknowledges more than a decade-long work of many people who helped turn a vision into reality. Part of those people are here in the same room. I will turn the camera soon. Our work in the SHUF is based on a simple but strong belief that the conservation of the cedar forests and the large landscape around it are the foundations of our livelihood and resilience. This vision could not have become reality without the constant work, commitment, and support of the broader SHUF Biosphere Reserve family. And today I want to particularly recognize the ACS board, especially Mr. and Mrs. Jumblat, who established the reserve and have been supporting it since 1996. And Mrs. Jumblat is with us today. The Reserve Committee, headed by Mr. Charles James and appointed by the Ministry of Environment. Ministry of Environment is the umbrella ministry of the Protected Areas Network in Lebanon. The Reserve staff team, 50 members of dedicated, professional, and committed team, all of whom are from the SHUF region. The national, regional, and international experts that have advised us along the way. In particular, let me name here Pedro Regatto, Marco Pagliani, Faisal Abu Azzeddin, Morris Company, Oikos Institute, Kew Garden, and many, many, many others. And of course, the many colleagues in WCPA. The Shuf Biosphere Reserve, local authorities, municipalities, and communities, our donors and partners who trusted us to make together this sustainable model of protected areas. The Forest Landscape Restoration Program is an effective approach to protect ecosystems and biodiversity, involve and benefit local communities, and increase key ecosystem services. It's true that implementing a complex and multi-purpose plan at large landscape scale is challenging, but it can be done. We have achieved it in the Shuf because we met the challenges together. Today, we are facing new challenges, from increasing climate change to novel pandemics, but it's important to remember that we are doing today is planting the seed, which will be the cornerstone of our resilience and the foundation of brighter future. Let me end with our Arabic hashtag to promote the Protected Areas Network in Lebanon. It is Mahmiyetna Hayetna, which means our parks, our lives. Wherever we are on this planet, we all need to recognize that the quality of our lives depends on the quality of our protected areas. As well, let me thank Trevor, Kathy, Iman Malian, Rabi Ibrahim, Richard, and all IUCN WCPA team who worked to organize this event, including the movie and the slideshow and all the materials that you showed today. Thank you.
So much, Nizar. And now I think there's an opportunity for the chairman of the board of the Shuf Biosphere Reserve, Nora Jumblat, also one of the founders of the park, to say a few words about Nizar.
Thank you, Trevor. Good evening, everyone. Let me just say that I first met Nizar when he was a 24-year-old scientific coordinator of the Shuf Reserve. And I have seen him grow and evolve to become the fine expert we're celebrating here today. As you know, he has been managing the Shuf Biosphere Reserve for the past 10 years, and throughout, he proved to be a very resourceful manager, being able to constantly bring along novel ideas and develop the management of the reserve, to integrate new principles and tackle new challenges such as climate change. Allow me to tell you a few things about Nizar. He's a high achiever, a go-getter, always curious and eager to improve himself and the world around him. He's extremely committed and dedicated to conservation, restoration, and reconciliation. In short, to everything the reserve represents in a region that has suffered 15 years of a devastating civil war. Nizar is a master communicator with an exceptional ability to explain and articulate his vision to all stakeholders, from government ministers to mayors, farmers, and shepherds, a vision that demonstrates the real value of a protected land and its sustainability. Today, 10 years later, the Shuf Biosphere Reserve has integrated 22 municipalities in its governance, developing entrepreneurial and opportunities to benefit its 130,000 local inhabitants. I would also like to highlight that it takes true proficiency to implement such a complex plan as forest landscape restoration that touches on so many aspects and needs to bring all stakeholders along a common vision. This participatory governance is particularly challenging in the current environment within Lebanon and the region. This comprehensive conservation and development program that Nizar initiated and spearheads is an ongoing process. It's about building resilience, which is something the world is very much in need of at this moment as we face climate change, pandemics, and other new challenges. We hope that Nizar's work and the Shuf's innovative experience can inspire other places and communities that are facing similar challenges. Finally, I would like to thank IUCN and WCPA. Of course, the Quentin Miller family, thank you very much for recognizing the work of Nizar Hani and the Shuf Biosphere Reserve. And I would also like to thank the supporters and donors of the reserve for their trust and continuous support. But last, and certainly not least, our fabulous team on the ground. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Jumblat. We know how important your support has been and still is in this already inspiring example. So now I'd like to move to the second winner. We couldn't, the jury couldn't decide. Both of these winners had to be recognized, so which is great. We have a bonus. So I'm going to call on Natasha Miller to announce the winner, and we will then move into the video production for that work. Natasha?
I would like to announce that Pedro Estefao Muaragura is one of two winners, and that we are going to watch a video to illustrate his work, and then I will read the award.
Go, 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 go now, chora. Go, 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 go now, chora. Go, 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 go now, chora. A minha visão vai significar grande impacto na conservação. Com o programa florestal e a introdução do café, onde temos a agricultura de conservação, vai criar ganhos no emprego que as comunidades da zona Tampão vão tendo, vai significar melhor condição ecológica. Temos grande número de rios que nascem na Serra de Gorongosa. Então, nós não só fazemos reflorestamento, como também mobilizamos os residentes da Zona Tampão nas melhores maneiras sustentáveis que possam criar a continuidade dos rios, não só para o benefício do parque, mas também para o desenvolvimento das atividades agrícolas que a Zona Tampão tem.
Okay, so Natasha, we'll display the citation for you as well.
We are honored to present Pedro Estefao Muaragura the Kenton R. Miller Award for 2020. In recognition of Pedro's work for his efforts to address the restoration of the rainforest in Gorongosa National Park following the devastating impacts of civil war on the biodiversity and livelihoods of local farmers. Faced with the dilemma of ongoing deforestation loss of biodiversity and the struggle for subsistence by local farmers following the civil war in Mozambique, Mr. Muaragura came up with the idea of growing coffee on deforested mountainsides. He proposed that the coffee could be shade grown beneath replanted native trees, giving local people an income as well as restoring the forest. Faced with initial skepticism, Muaragura prevailed with his idea, even though no one had any experience of growing coffee either in the area of Gorongosa or indeed anywhere in Mozambique. He worked closely with the community to understand their needs and to demonstrate the benefits of restoration would outweigh the short-term gains of slash and burn agriculture. He also had to understand and engage with gender roles, ensuring that women were empowered to contribute to the nurseries of seedlings and newly planted trees. In 2015, a group of local farmers planted 15,000 coffee seedlings on Mount Gorongosa alongside native trees to support rainforest restoration efforts. Today, Mount Gorongosa's people are planting around 200,000 coffee trees per year, together with 50,000 rainforest trees, and women make up 50% of the smallholder farmers, now numbering over 600 people. The produce is bought by a natural products enterprise that processes the coffee at its new factory nearby and markets the roasted beans in Mozambique and around the world. It is a rare achievement with local, national, regional, and global impact and offering a suite of lessons and examples that can inspire others. Through Mr. Muragua's efforts, the implementation of more sustainable agricultural practices in the park has progressed. Many smallholder farmers in the surrounding areas are learning new skills that can be applied more widely, thereby contributing towards sustainable land use, community development, and biodiversity conservation. Gives me great pleasure to welcome you and our other winner today to an astounding group of laureates. Congratulations.
Thanks, so congratulations.
And I have one other person here who would like Bodhi Kenton, Kenton's namesake.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Great, thanks, Natasha. So let's hear from a few words from Pedro. Pedro, there are people all around the world are sending in their comments and congratulating you.
First of all, I want to thank to IUCN organization, Kenton Miller family, and WCS family, not family as a united as a family, but as an organization. I want to use the same opportunity to thank government of Mozambique because of giving me this chance to lead this Gorongosa National Park, not only from government point of view, but also from community side, local communities. Some of them, they are in this room, especially communities coming from Mount Gorongosa, whereby I did this type of innovation without knowing that was really innovation. The area suffered a lot by deforestation, poverty. The major problem in this area was deforestation, and above all was civil war in the area, whereby accessibility to this area was very difficult. Landmines to reach the ground was very difficult. Several people were killed by landmines. And the idea of doing reforestation was there given by the Gorongosa National Park. Unfortunately, that idea could not be easily done without having local community fulfilling their needs. I have to think about how to provide some tangible benefits to this community not only to have economical benefits, but also to protect nature, to create nature coexistence with people, peace with nature. That's why I came up with the idea of planting coffee. Coffee, which is one of the strategies of doing agroforestry practices to make sure that not only nature will benefit, but also people, to reduce poverty, to reduce the suffering of people after a long time of civil war, and the area was completely degraded. Now the area is almost green, and that makes me happy, not only to observe nature, but also to observe local communities moving around, having schools, having food crops aligned with forestry. By using these words, I want to finally thank to government of Mozambique and to my family. I want to underline the name of my wife, Isabel Marasiro Mwagura. She stays long time without my presence. She stays with my children, our children, while I'm in the forestry, while I'm in the park taking care of nature. Thank you very much once again.
Thank you so much, Pedro, for those words. And now I think your colleague, Angelo, is going to say a few words on your behalf. Angelo?
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure for me to speak of a person as Pedro. Due to his many jobs, it's not easy to summarize of what he did in only 2 minutes. I met Pedro 5 years ago, but I read reports in the newspaper about him. So I'd like to share 4 points. First, Pedro managed to achieve 2 main objectives of protected areas, which is biodiversity conservation, and in the same time to contribute to the income generation of the households who live around the area. In difficult situation, in sensitive and political area. Pedro is always willing to learn. Pedro always willing to teach anyone. So he is very humble person. This skill also allows him to continue to progress in his career. The activity of reforestation of the mountain not only helps the park or helps the buffer zone, but the whole Sofala province to millions of people, because the water of park of Rema Lake purified the water of Punga River, which serves to supply water to several cities in Sofala province, contribute to irrigation of farms, and also to cater drink. Finally, I would like to say that the conservation is in the Pedro blood, circulating through the veins, because he doesn't do it for money, but for personal commitment. He also produces seedling at home, plants on his farm, and create conditions for every visitors, every birthday person in Gorongosa Park to plant a tree. Pedro inspired people. Pedro deserves this great and prestigious award. Thank you very much.
So much, Angelo. Very, very good endorsement of such a wonderful work. So now what we would like to do is, this is something we haven't tried before. We are going to ask Nizar to come back, as well as Ranin, who's in Lebanon, to do a live interview on screen. Let's see how that goes, and then after that we'll repeat that with Pedro and someone and Larissa from Mozambique.
Hello. First of all, congratulations, Nizar and Pedro. I am so honored to be participating with you today. It's well deserved. My first question to you, Nizar, to make it short, is what are the main challenges that you faced over the years in raising awareness throughout the local community about the importance of preserving green spaces, and how can these green spaces act as a source of revenue to these local communities?
Thank you, Ranin. We usually talk to each other in Arabic. This is the first time that we talk in English. The environmental awareness and raising awareness for communities, for local decision makers, for almost everyone, is a main program in the reserve, because we work through different 5 programs, but the environmental awareness program is the most important. All the activities that we are doing, mainly the restoration activities, we have different tasks related to environmental awareness. We work with students, we work with youth, we work with different ages. We have some programs working directly with the local authorities, the municipalities, and the local decision makers. As well, we use, since the day one of the establishment of the Shuf Biosphere Reserve, something we call it practical conservation. If we want to be listened, we need to be practical. So all the activities that we are doing in the reserve and the surrounding villages are tackling the people, are benefiting the people in a way or in another. So that helped us a lot in the last 20 years to do more interaction with the communities and to let the people together with the team of the reserve and with our board and with our committee, thinking together and having this common vision. In fact, the work that we are doing is the vision for the whole region.
Let's highlight the work with the local communities a little bit more. So how did the integrated management of our ecosystems help in creating job opportunities for the local community? If you want to talk a little bit more about this point.
If we want to talk a little bit with numbers, in the last few years, we were able, with farmers and with the agricultural cooperative, to restore around 150 hectares of old abandoned terraces. And can you imagine, in Lebanon, we have small properties. To restore 150 hectares, you have to work with hundreds of farmers and their families and the service providers who are using the crops that is produced in those farms. We work to do reforestation for 235 hectares. So we planted around 200,000 seedlings. Here I'm saying in the last 4 or 5 years. We did around 43 hectares of biomass management, because the forest fires is still the main risk in our region. So how can we minimize, or how can we prevent our forest from forest fires? We do something, we call it biomass management. The materials that goes out from the forest and the agricultural land, we work to transform it into briquette and composting. This is the practical conservation that I'm talking about. So all those people are involved because their cultural practices is part of our work. Their income is part of our work. Because of that, we learned a lot together with the communities in this period of time. And based on that, everyone was involved in a very practical way.
Since we're talking about numbers, how many visitors do you usually receive per year?
Last year, 2019, we received around 120,000 visitors, and usually we have an increase of 15% to 20%. This year is a very exceptional year. You know, the lockdown, the different challenges, the economic situation in Lebanon, the last event that happened 2 weeks ago, all this affected what we are doing and the number of visitors. But at the same time, during the partial lockdown, we received more than other regions because now the people wants to go out, wants to do outdoor activities. So the Shuf region is not so far from Beirut, 1 hour drive from Beirut, and the whole services around the reserve is a simple luxury services. So the people are going out and coming. Last week, despite the new lockdown in the region, there was more than 1,000 persons visited the reserve and the different services around the reserve.
My last question to you is regarding the restoration work that you've been doing. What issues are you facing in this regard, and have you been able to develop this work?
In fact, the restoration work is an opportunity. There is not too much challenges because, as mentioned in the slideshow, in Lebanon, we received a big number of Syrian refugees. They were a big help for our work because we worked with the different entities, WFP and the different UN agencies to integrate the Syrian in the region in the restoration work and in the reforestation work. As well, the current economic situation is helping because the people is coming back into nature more and more. They are coming back to do more agriculture activities. And this is good. And this is part of the work that we are working to encourage the communities to do it since years. So more or less, I'm saying, despite the whole challenges that we are facing now in Lebanon and in the whole world, it's going positively and in the right direction within the ecosystem restoration work. And the other challenge that we are trying to prove together with the whole network of protected areas, with IUCN, with WCPA, that restoration can provide job opportunities, not just the big businesses and the big infrastructure can provide job opportunities. And I think when the last 5-6 years, we proved that. The last economic valuation that has been done to the Shuf Biosphere Reserve in 2019 said every $1 that we are investing in this region, we are able to revenue $19. And I think this is the best investment that we can do. We are protecting those resources for the future generation, and we are able to provide hundreds of job opportunities, and we are trying to turn the life of the whole region and the whole country, hopefully, to a more sustainable and healthy life.
Thank you so much, Nizar. Congratulations again. And we're like super proud and super glad that we have people like you in Lebanon.
We're proud of Nizar too.
Trevor, Trevor, if you allow me, I have here next to me our president, Mr. Charles Noujaim, the president of the committee of the reserve. As well, he wants to thank you and to say like one word.
Don't worry, I will be very brief. Just to thank the Kenton Miller family, the IUCN, the WCPA, for the award to my friend Nizar, who is part of our Caesar Reserve family. Thank you all.
So nice to see you too. Thank you. All right, so let us move to the second interview and call on Larissa and Pedro.
Hello, everyone. My name is Larissa, and I work for Gorongosa National Park. This is such a big celebration for us. I would like to congratulate Mr. Magura, and start by asking, what does this award mean to you and to Mozambique as well?
Thank you very much, Marisa. To me, as an individual, I'm very happy.
Your video is
this
off.
Award,
Pedro, could you turn
this
your video
award
on?
to me means that Gorongosa doesn't mean only that it is area of conflict, but Gorongosa means also area where people are given opportunity to develop their economic, social, and environmental part or pillar. Thank you.
Great. I'd just like to ask to click on the video. My second question would be, when you started together with the community, did you think it would give benefits both to the park and the community? Or what was the idea when you started this coffee plantation up in the mountain?
Initially, I thought that it was only dealing on conservation, flora and fauna. Later on, I realized that people are the epicenter of conservation. If you do not fulfill people's needs, you can't go anywhere. That's why we integrate education, which is in the Department of Human Development, whereby we have girls' clubs, teachers' clubs, water and sanitation to people. We have mobile brigades. I can say that the majority of our budget in the park goes to the community, which means that we consider people before everything. We start by people. Then we move to other pillars, like science pillar. On Mount Gorongosa, not only we are planting coffee and doing reforestation, but also there are special areas to be studied. We have universities dealing with the studies in different universities, dealing studies in different ways, studying about avifauna, studying about the way on how rivers are flowing. We have almost 25 rivers coming from the mountain. All these are made in science. Then we go also to another pillar, which is tourism. Not only we develop coffee on Mount Gorongosa, but also we have tourism to satisfy our customers, to satisfy our visitors. Finally, this tourism, what I said, is not only designed to foreigners, but also to local communities. Every day, except this year, every day we receive minimum of 35 people from our local community, which means that we are not only doing things to conserve nature, but also we make sure that people are resilient to different factors. Last time we had cyclone, and our park was able to rescue people. Some people were hanging on top of trees, some people on top of houses, and our rangers, some of them, they are in this room, they were able to use our helicopter to rescue people in the community, providing basic needs like food, maize, rice, soap, as well as this community, by observing what rangers what human development was doing, they are now recognizing that Gorongosa National Park is not there only to conserve animals and trees, but also the epicenter of conservation are the people. Local communities are the crucial part of it. Thank you.
That's great. What are the park's next plans? Since you started with coffee, what are the next plans?
Next plans, we are going to improve our infrastructures. Right now in operations and infrastructures, we make sure that our road network in the park not only will satisfy our national park, but also this road network will move to our communities. We are going to move towards Cheringoma district, Mwanza district, Maringwe, Dondo, as well as Nyamatanda district, whereby during war, Gorongosa National Park did not have chance to move their programs to make sure that what is done in Gorongosa district is also done in Maringwe, Cheringoma, Mwanza, Marumeo. We have our next plans to make sure that we help our colleagues as the pillar of our Ministry of Land and Environment. We want to make sure that the way how Gorongosa National Park is moving, we are not moving alone. We have to move together with our neighboring conservation areas like Marumeo Special Reserve, Chimanimani National Park. We have already started some of these activities, giving some of our animals to Zinave, Maputo Reserve, Banyine. This is one part. And following stage is that we are going to develop what we call community conservation areas, or in simply, we said community conservancies. We want to make sure that our community in our buffer zone, they are able to themselves to develop conservation by doing several activities which are friendly to environment. Tomorrow, as you said, what are the next steps? We are moving with the government together to make sure that we do what we call community consultancies, to make sure that themselves, they will support our future programs. In short, is what I want to say regarding to our future plans. Thank you.
I think it proves to us that together we can move forward and stronger for conservation. So we are very happy to hear that those are the next plans of expansion as well, sharing some animals elsewhere in Mozambique. So we would like to congratulate you one more time and say that we're very happy in Gorongosa to have received this prize as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sorry about the sound video problem at the beginning. We're going to have to remember to make sure there's not two computers in the same room where there's possibility of feedback. I think you probably agree with me that even having an event like this globally, from Lebanon, mountains of Lebanon to the plains of Mozambique, Switzerland, the UK, the Americas, Australia, all participating in an event is something different in our lives. And the inspiration that we've been hearing coming back to us is just amazing. So what I'd like to do now is to move to the last part, where I'm going to just give the floor, first of all, to Kathy, and then I'm going to also invite Susan Miller, the wife of the late Kenton Miller, to make a comment. Let's start with Kathy.
Thanks, Trevor, and thank you for some really inspiring stories. I'm very pleased to see that we have some of the other Kenton Miller awardees watching this event as well. And we have lots of inspiring stories. But I do have a specific question I would like to put to Nizar and Pedro. I think they've shown that all conservationists have to be optimists. And I wonder if they could say a little bit about how they've managed to stay optimistic and keep up the morale of their staff and partners during this current pandemic, how they've been able to continue with their work. I know it's a challenging question, but I think it might inspire other people. Thank you.
Yes. The question, if I understood well, that how did we manage to continue with optimism? Is that?
Yes, and keep everybody else optimistic, your staff and partners, during this current pandemic.
Thank you very much. I'm going to use, as you said, optimism. I will join that word optimism with the resiliency. I feel that Gorongosa, our community, our local communities are already resilient to different up and down graph. The way how I see, starting from our staff members, I have in the room people like Mike Washington and Annie Washington. Even with the fighting, shooting on the ground, they did not leave the park. I have people like Greg Carr. Last time when shooting were going on, fighting on the ground, they said, we can't move out of this place. We want to protect this park. We had to say, please, please, please go somewhere, because that is showing commitment and the people are working with a very good motivation. I want to congratulate my colleagues. And secondly, is that we feel that in nature, here where we are, the best life is here in the nature, not in the cities. If we have electricity here in the rural area, water, good water, drinking water, accessibility, roads, then with the people, knowledgeable people, starting from motivation, these people are becoming resilient. We had Cyclone Idai. We managed that our rangers stayed in. Now we know that we can make things happen. Even with Cyclone, we're here. Fighting, we were here. We did not move out. Now we are already prepared for resilience. That's why I can say that we are optimistic, because we have faced different challenges here. Poverty, I can't mention. I can say that this area is one of the very vulnerable area in Mozambique. And with the community, together with our donors, with our philanthropy, Greg Carr, we feel that we can make things happening even with difficulties. I don't know if I went to your question well. Thank you.
Thanks, Pedro. I'm feeling more optimistic and more resilient already. And I hope to be able to visit your wonderful park one of these days. I wonder if Nizar has anything to add.
Thank you, Kathy. We are ready right now for the last segment, as Trevor asked yesterday. If you can see behind me, some people are ready. Coming back to your question, with time, we learned a lot from the ecosystems that we work to restore, as the ecosystem is adaptive and resilient and able to be resilient despite the different challenges. So the people who are working in the protected areas and living in the surrounding area of the protected areas are similar to the ecosystems. During the pandemic time and during the lockdown time, we started a campaign. We call it Stay at Home and the Reserve Will Come to You. So we prepared around 12 movies. It was a full campaign on social media. Every week we were posting 2 movies for the different activities that we are doing, and with the support of our experts who are living everywhere in Lebanon and outside Lebanon, Europe, US. And we were talking about the different topics, the different experiences that we are working on. And we shared all this information with the people through social media. And our communication team did a great job. We were doing all the work in-house, the filming using mobiles, doing the montage, doing everything in-house. As well, we did a lot of efforts to monitor the biodiversity. And in those last 3 months, we were able to film more than the last 20 years. Because, you know, with less people, with less pollution, with the wildlife, we're moving around everywhere. So we use this time to monitor all these species using camera traps and other techniques. And as well, we produced some movies during the International Day of the Biodiversity, showing the different species, birds, wildlife, mammals, etc.
Thanks, Nizar. So I'm going to, can they hear me? I'm going to ask Sue Miller just to say a few words. Sue, if you can hear, it's your turn.
Here we go. Hello, everybody. This has been such a privilege to be able to attend this meeting. It's brought back so many memories of the decades that Kenton and I lived together, and when protected areas, biodiversity, conservation were the center of our lives. And hearing old friends and listening to the inspirational stories of these 2 national parks in Lebanon and Mozambique, they've just made my day. They've made my month. It's just been a wonderful treat. I wanted to share particular, I was particularly excited last night when I learned that one of the recipients was from Mozambique. And Pedro, this is a message particularly for you. When I was a college student back in the 1960s in Syracuse University, an anthropology professor of mine was Eduardo Mondlane. For those of you who don't know a lot of Mozambique's history, Eduardo Mondlane later, just a couple years after I took a course from him and we became friends, he was elected the president of Frelimo, the organization to fight for independence for Mozambique from Portugal. And we stayed in contact through his years living in Tanzania, working with Frelimo for Mozambique's independence. And as it turns out, Todd, my son Todd, was born the day after Eduardo was assassinated. And Todd's middle name is Eduardo. So Mozambique has always had a special corner of interest for our whole family. And this award to Pedro is particularly meaningful for me and for Todd and for our family. So it's been a particular pleasure to be able to participate Thank goodness for Zoom. Thank you very much.
Thanks. And so, yeah, perhaps we could then invite, I don't know, Natasha, if you'd like to say any final words, Natasha or Todd. And then we'll move to the very last segment, because these guys are already in the background.
Yes, I would love to say one quick thing. I'm unable to start my video. The host has to start it for me, though.
Sure, we'll get right on that.
There we go. Every time, sorry. This is always such a meaningful time for us as a family, because we get to see Kenton's fingerprint carrying on in all the protected areas, and to see all the warm messages we are receiving from colleagues, friends, and former laureates across the world is really heartwarming. And what is so wonderful about these winners, and I'd have to say every winner so far, is that just like Kenton, you all have led by using your passion and inspiration and motivating people to do better. And that was a hallmark of Kenton, was that he just made you want to do better by leading with his heart. And I think all of you really exemplify that. And I'm so grateful for your passion, because you all make this place a better planet. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Natasha. And now I'm going to, we didn't plan this, by the way, when we did our dress rehearsal. Oh, Todd wants to say something? Okay, Todd, sorry.
Quite all right. Thank you, Trevor. Just very briefly, Nizar and Pedro, we have enjoyed the privilege of meeting and getting to know many of the Miller awardees over the years, and consider many of them our friends. And I hope we'll have the pleasure of meeting each of you in person sometime. In the meantime, welcome to the Miller Award family.
Great. Thanks so much, Todd. So yesterday when we were setting up and trying to get everything going, some spontaneous ideas emerged. And so I'm going to, I don't know what these guys are going to do, but I'm going to turn the camera to Pedro Muagura, Estevão Muagura in Gorongosa in Mozambique. Tell us what you can do, Pedro.
Yeah. We are going to sing a song. We're going to sing a song saying that Gorongosa down shora, Gogo down shora, which means that forests do not cry. Urema is our biggest lake. Do not cry, because we are going to protect you. Macaco is baboon. Don't cry is the meaning of this song, saying that don't cry. Nature doesn't cry because we are there to help nature. Floresta, floresta não chora. Floresta, floresta não chora. Urema, urema não chora. Urema, urema não chora. Governo, governo não chora. Governo, governo não chora. Montanha, montanha não chora. Montanha, montanha não chora. Macaco, macaco não chora. Floresta, floresta não chora. Floresta, floresta não chora. Anaki, Anaki não chora. Anaki, Anaki não chora. Mutemba, Mutemba não chora. Mutemba, Mutemba não chora. Biscali, Biscali não chora. Biscali, Biscali não chora. Manguço, Manguço não chora. Manguço, Manguço não chora. Gugu, Gugu não chora. Gugu, Gugu não chora. Floresta não chora. Floresta não chora. Yu, 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 yu não chora. Yu, 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 yu não chora. Mutemba, Mutemba não chora. Mutemba, Mutemba não chora. Os meus colegas fiscais, esses caras não estão aqui, saíram? Então, esses lados são os colegas fiscais, gestor de apicultura. Oh, thank you. I was using Portuguese, but now English. On my left side is part of rangers. These rangers are doing wonderful in this part. We have almost 300 rangers, day and night patrolling against illegal activities inside park and in buffer zone. On my right side, we have one of the gentlemen here, Chorva. Chorva works with beekeeping. He is moving district to district with girls' clubs, teaching them, teachers' clubs, teaching them on how to conserve nature using beekeeping activities. These ladies here, these three ladies, they started by being volunteers. They worked with Pedro Magura without any payment because they were making sure that they were going to protect Mount Gorongosa because of rivers coming from there. Right now, they are permanent workers in this park, which means that very congratulations to them. Thank you. And finally,
Okay.
finally, this gentleman here, Sylvester, the first coffee, I had to plant first coffee with Sylvester. And Sylvester was asking, what are you really doing? I did plant coffee, bamboo, to make sure that we are going to have special species to sustain community economically and socially. And this man allowed his plot to plant first coffee plantation with the Bebe. Bebe is technician. Others are not here. Others, they passed away during war. And these two gentlemen here, Silverio and Tonga's young brother of Tonga, they are all from Mount Gorongosa. I was with them during war. When nobody was able to reach Mount Gorongosa, these people were able to move with me to Mount Gorongosa, doing tests in first demonstration project regarding off plantation. Thank you very much to them.
Thank you to the whole team. Thanks, Pedro. Okay, and now colleagues in We need to okay, great. Let's move to Nizar and the team up in the Shuf.
So as you said, Trevor, it was not planned, but when we did the rehearsal yesterday, I met Daniil, one of the young musicians that we are proud of him. He's playing music for a cause. He's organizing workshops everywhere in the country to support suffered communities, kids, whatever, to go out from their problems through music. And Daniil, he has a new project, and he will be sitting in the region here for 8 months for his new music. So we wanted to show you something from his work. And by the way, he trained our colleagues Ihab and Nijad in the last 5 minutes when we turned off the camera. Okay, go ahead.
Thanks to everybody there for that. And then I think what I'm going to do then is first of all echo the congratulations of everybody to the winners of the Kenton Miller Award, both Pedro and Nizar and your teams behind. And I'd also like to thank, of course, Kathy and the Miller family for helping us with that. There's the ceremony and the event. We hope to meet you all again in person. And finally, what I'd like to do is just to thank our technical team here, Ruchir, Nadine, Devaya, and other colleagues who've helped to organize this from Switzerland. We know it's been an unusual situation, but actually the thing that the thought that I would leave you with is that I just get so emotional in a way when I not only hear the authentic efforts of people that are committed and inspired and who are able to inspire others. We have two great assets in a way in this work that we do. One is these beautiful places that we have as parks and protected conserved areas around the world, and the other are the people that actually make that happen, the people who govern them, the people who manage them, the people that tell us about them. So once again, maybe you can just call on everyone for a great round of applause to the winners of the Kenton Miller Award and say thank you to all of you for attending.